Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is a bit different. We're taking one incredibly detailed and frankly quite traumatic personal story, a near-death experience, and we want to pull out the most, well, surprising insights from it for you.
Yeah, this isn't about comparing lots of sources. It's a deep focus on one person's account. And it really pushes back on some common ideas about consciousness, memory, especially childhood memory, and, what happens when someone touches the transcendent.
So let's set the scene. It's way back summer of 1973. Picture this. A family's all excited, planning a trip to Walt Disney World.
Sounds pretty normal, right?
Totally. And our subject, he's just 3 years old at the time, later gets an ADHD diagnosis, which maybe explains why he was, being a bit much. His dad, just needing a break, tells him, go play outside.
And that moment, that simple instruction leads directly into something horrific. He goes across the street to a friend's place. There's a big German Shepherd in the backyard, supposed to be secured on a 10-foot chain. But the thing is, the anchor, the stake holding the chain, it just pulls right out of the ground.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the dog charges. The little boy tries to scramble up a fence, but it's too late. The dog grabs him, pulls him down, and the description is just brutal, shaking him like a rag doll. The physical damage was, severe. We're talking over 200 stitches needed. He had a collapsed lung, a punctured lung. This was absolutely life-threatening, no question about it.
And here's the part that just stops you in your tracks, the paradox we really need to dig into. All that violence, the tearing, the internal injuries, the blood. He reported feeling absolutely no pain, not a flicker. From the instant the dog grabbed him, the physical sensation just wasn't there for him.
Physical reality. Chaos, tearing flesh. Subjective reality. Nothing. Blankness in terms of pain.
Exactly. So our deep dive today follows that 3-year-old's consciousness. From that horrific scene in the yard, then this sudden trip through space, to a really strange meeting, almost bureaucratic, with beings and this unseen audience, and then, snap, back into his body, dealing with all that trauma.
Right. And that paradox, the no pain thing, that's where we have to start. Often people explain that away biologically. A massive endorphin rush, nature's anesthetic, and extreme stress.
Sort of body trying to protect itself.
Exactly. But this experience goes way beyond just shutting down pain receptors. It shifts immediately into something else, this clear, lucid observation.
Okay, let's get into that shift. He talks about the classic out-of-body observation, the OBE. He was immediate. Suddenly, he's watching everything from about, 15 feet up?
Yeah, a clear, elevated view.
And it wasn't fuzzy or dreamlike. The details he remembers are sharp, disturbingly clear. He saw his own little body in the dog's mouth, being shaken violently. He even recalled very specifically that his white undershirt was, quote, totally red with blood.
That level of detail is striking.
And he watched the rescue happen. Saw his father run, leap over the fence. Saw the friend's mother pulling the dog off him. All from this detached viewpoint.
So let's think about his cognitive state then. He wasn't confused or drifting. He describes it as normal consciousness and alertness. Actually, maybe even more alert than usual. He said his hearing felt heightened.
Heightened hearing, while technically detached from his body.
That's what he reports. And this really challenges those theories that try to explain NDEs purely through, say, lack of oxygen to the brain or some other purely physiological breakdown. How do you get heightened, detailed, lucid awareness during such massive physical trauma if the brain is shutting down?
It doesn't quite fit, does it? You'd expect maybe confusion, fragmented images, not this almost clinical observation.
Exactly. It's like surveillance footage, as you said. He's processing everything happening externally with full awareness, but without the expected terror or pain. It's pure observation under the most extreme conditions imaginable.
So that objective awareness leaves the physical body behind. Where does it go next? Because this is where the timeline just completely veers off. Right after the rescue starts on the ground, he says he felt himself flying straight up towards the sky, incredibly fast.
Yeah, being pulled upwards.
Yeah, pulled or flying. He described the blue sky turning black almost instantly. Suddenly, he's in what looks like outer space, moving faster and faster, just stars everywhere. But here's the thing. He said it was so beautiful.
Wow. Okay, so that transition is key. From utter chaos and violence on the ground to immediate, peaceful, even beautiful travel through space. For a 3-year-old to label that rapid ascent as beautiful, it suggests the environment itself felt welcoming, not frightening.
Right. It wasn't scary, despite the speed and leaving Earth behind.
And here's an interesting point analytically. Unlike a lot of NDE stories you hear, especially from adults, He specifically said he did not go through a tunnel. No dark tunnel with a light at the end.
That is a deviation. Most accounts mention the tunnel.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is the tunnel a universal feature, maybe neurobiological? Or is it something shaped by culture, by stories people have heard? Something a 3-year-old in 1973 wouldn't have had as a reference point.
Good point.
Yeah.
He had no expectation of a tunnel, so
Yeah.
no tunnel. Where did he end up?
He arrives at this place. He called it a glass amphitheater or small auditorium. But he could still see the stars and space outside the wall. So it's contained, but still connected to that cosmic view.
Okay, a glass room in space. And who was there?
Straight ahead, about 20 feet away, he saw 2 figures. They were hooded, wearing cloaks. One was taller than the other, but he couldn't make out any faces or features, just the shapes.
Hooded figures. Okay, mysterious.
But that wasn't all, and this part is really unique. To his right side, in this auditorium, he sensed a whole crowd of people. He couldn't see them clearly, but he could hear them.
Hear them. What were they saying?
They were whispering. He described it as frantically whispering, and he understood the collective message, the gist of their frantic whispers. It was directed at him. Essentially, why is he here? He's not supposed to be here now. It's not his time.
Wow, so the figures are calm, but there's this background noise of panicked administration.
Kind of. That frantic quality is fascinating. It implies rules, a schedule, maybe procedures. He'd somehow shown up unexpected, and it was causing a stir among this unseen group.
Like he crashed a meeting he wasn't invited to yet.
Something like that. It suggests this. Destination, if you want to call it that, isn't just pure bliss. It has some kind of order or structure.
But how did he feel in this place? With figures he couldn't see and this anxious whispering.
This is maybe the most profound part. Despite being 3, despite having 0 context for any of this, he reported feeling that the place, and even the unseen whispering people, felt deeply familiar.
Familiar. How?
He couldn't explain it, couldn't link it to anyone or anywhere from his life, just this powerful, innate sense of recognition. It really opens up questions, doesn't it, about, maybe innate knowledge or a connection to something deeper than our earthly memories. Plato's ideas, maybe, or just a fundamental level of consciousness.
A sense of returning somewhere known. Okay, so then what happened? Did the figures interact with him?
The taller being motioned him forward, and he noted her voice. He perceived it as female, it was beautiful, but the communication wasn't spoken, it was telepathic.
Direct thought transfer?
Exactly. No mouth moving, just the message received clearly in his mind.
And the message was?
Very simple, very direct, but he stressed it was delivered with incredible love and care. She told him he was not supposed to be there yet. He had to go back.
Go back, okay.
But she added something else, a specific detail. She said she would see him again very soon, when it was his time, when he was meant to be there.
Very soon. That sounds ominous, but maybe not in that context.
Probably not like earthly soon, more like a confirmation of a future meeting, an appointment that will happen. It sounds like it was meant to be reassuring.
And the return? Was it gradual?
Nope. Instantaneous. He described being pulled away again at extreme speed, and then bam, he was back in his body.
Back in the chaos. Where exactly did he find himself?
This detail is incredible for memory recall. He suddenly snapped back to awareness inside the family car. Specifically, their 1972 Ford Maverick.
Wow, the exact year and model.
Right. He was being held by his uncle in the passenger seat while his father was driving frantically to the hospital. That level of precise detail, tied to the trauma and the NDE decades later, it's powerful evidence for the clarity of the memory.
It really anchors the whole otherworldly experience in a very specific, verifiable reality. But the journey wasn't quite done, was it?
No. His injuries were so bad that even when they got to the hospital, he reports leaving his body one more time.
Another OBE.
A brief one.
Yeah.
Looking down again, this time seeing the emergency room staff working frantically on him. Then he was fully back and obviously stabilized and admitted. He was in the hospital for almost a month.
An unbelievable ordeal. Let's try to synthesize this. We need to consider his emotional state throughout the NDE itself.
Right, so floating above the bloody scene, traveling through space, meeting these beings, hearing the whispers. What was the overall feeling?
He consistently used words like love and peace. He described incredible peace or pleasantness and even happiness joy.
Total contrast to the physical reality of his body.
Completely. And the context here is so important. Yes, he was technically raised in a Christian Catholic family, but at age 3, he says himself he was basically unaware of what religion was. He had absolutely no expectation of what death or an afterlife even was.
So his experience wasn't filtered through pre-existing religious ideas or fears. It was raw, unfiltered.
A direct encounter.
Exactly. A pure, unguided experience of something else.
Okay, so you have this incredibly vivid, structured, peaceful, loving experience. It involves clear communication with non-physical beings, and the person remembers it perfectly 30 years later, insists it was definitely real. What would you expect the impact to be?
You'd expect a life changed, right?
Yeah.
A transformation. People often report NDEs completely alter their values, their fear of death, their life path. That's the common narrative in NDE research, absolutely. But here's perhaps the most intellectually challenging piece of data from this specific account.
Go on.
The impact. Despite this profound reality-bending experience, he reported no change.
No change at all?
None. No shift in his life goals, his values, his beliefs about God, or the purpose of life. He didn't feel compelled to change careers, become more spiritual, nothing. It just happened, and life went on.
That is really counterintuitive, especially compared to adult NDEers who often have these huge shifts. Why would a child experiencing that same love and peace not have his values altered?
It's a huge question. Maybe at age 3, the sense of self, the personality, it's just too fluid, too unformed to really anchor such a major philosophical shift.
Perhaps the framework isn't there yet to process it into life changes.
Possibly. Or maybe, and this ties back to the message, maybe the purpose of that brief trip wasn't to transform him or teach him some grand cosmic lesson. Maybe it was purely regulatory.
Regulatory, like cosmic bureaucracy again.
Sort of. The core message wasn't live differently or understand God. It was procedural. You're not supposed to be here now. Go back. The frantic whispering supports that concern about the schedule, not his enlightenment.
So the whole encounter might have been less spiritual revelation, more cosmic course correction. Get back on your timeline.
It's one interpretation that fits the data, especially the lack of lasting change and the nature of the messages he received. The focus was on timing, not transformation.
Fascinating. It reframes the whole destination.
It does. And yet, despite the lack of life change, the memory itself is rock solid. As real and accurate to him as any other significant childhood event, it's this strange case of a profound, non-ordinary event leaving a perfect memory trace, but almost zero imprint on his developing values or worldview.
So wrapping this up, just think about that stark contrast. On one hand, a 3-year-old body being violently attacked, bleeding, lungs collapsing.
Utter physical chaos.
And on the other hand, the consciousness associated with that body is peacefully traveling through space, having a telepathic chat, feeling loved, noting the architecture of a glass room.
The simultaneous existence of those two realities is mind-bending. And that brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with. Think about that feeling of familiarity.
Right, the sense that the glass place and the unseen crowd were somehow known to him.
Exactly. For a 3-year-old, with no concept of heaven or an afterlife, no cultural priming, what could that deep, unearned sense of familiarity possibly mean? Does it hint at some kind of consciousness before this life, pre-existence, or is it tapping into something fundamentally ingrained in us, something beyond personal memory?
And how does that detail, the frantic whispers, he's not supposed to be here now? How does that specific, almost administrative detail fit into your picture of what might happen when consciousness steps outside the body? Is it all light and love, or is there maybe paperwork?
Something to ponder.
It certainly is. Thank you for joining us for this really intense look at one extraordinary experience on the edge of life and memory. We'll explore more next time on The Deep Dive.
Thank you for listening to Borrowed Time NDE Podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a moment of inspiration. Until next time, wishing you an extraordinary and truly wonderful time on your journey through life.